Abby Lincoln grew up in Michigan where her family had a piano, which piqued her interest in music from a young age. She was first noted as a talented singer in the 1950s when she lived in Hawaii. Lincoln's songs explored Black identity and culture, while also detailing aspects of the civil rights movement. Lincoln's voice was impassioned and dramatic, which further empowered the context of the lyrics she sang. During the Black Freedom Movement, Lincoln performed at fundraisers for the NAACP, CORE, and other important Black Freedom Movement organizations. In 1972, Lincoln took a trip to Africa, which helped her recognize her political motivations. Throughout her lifetime, Lincoln recorded over 20 albums, performed in several films, and acted as a pioneer in the Black Freedom Movement. She was extremely significant as it was rare for a Black woman to write, perform, and record her own songs, and therefore, few vocalists surpassed her ability to add emotional depth to the story she told through song. When Lincoln married Max Roach in 1962, she started to focus less on singing and more on writing, acting, and her civil rights work. However, he abused her throughout their relationship, and they got a divorce in 1970. Influenced by her many bad experiences with Black men, including her husband, Lincoln was led to write the essay titled, "Who Will Revere the Black Woman?" The Black Freedom Movement often excluded Black women in the fight for justice, since it incorporated the establishment of a Black male-dominated patriarchal household structures and the equality of Black people. Lincoln's essay is a powerful call for action to protect Black women and the end of perpetual oppression of Black women. Lincoln's argument that Black women are perceived as evil and are the downfall of the Black man is an idea that is still present today. Although she acknowledged that both white and Black men perpetuated this idea about Black women, she focused on the effect of Black men's ideas in this essay. She argued that Black women have every right to be angry for how they have been treated for being Black in a racist society, as well as being women within their own community, where Black women are abused by their fathers and partners. She acknowledged how the unjust treatment of women did not stop after slavery, as Black women went from being, quote, the women who were kidnapped and brought to his continent as slaves, to, quote, the women who are yelled at, grabbed at, tracked down by white degenerates. Lincoln also recognized how Black women were affected by the mistreatment of Black men who were their husbands, brothers, fathers, and sons. However, Lincoln shows that she felt disillusioned by the treatment of Black women as she points out the lack of change and what she hopes will change in the future. In this essay, she wrote, quote, maybe if our women get evil enough and angry enough, they'll be moved to some action that will bring our men to their senses. She ends the essay by asking, who will revere the Black women? Who will keep her precious and pure? Who will glorify and proclaim her beautiful image?
Furthermore, in Who Will Revere the Black Woman, Lincoln powerfully addressed the psychological degradation of Black women and disseminated messages of resistance. Lincoln described, we are the women whose hair is compulsively fried, whose skin is bleached, whose mouth is too big and loud. Lincoln highlighted the enforcement of white beauty standards that diminished the worth of Black women. In turn, this invigorated support for resistance to such oppression, which was often silenced. Moreover, Lincoln actively resisted the suppression of Black hair as her album It's Magic featured her on the cover with natural hair, and the lyrics of her jazz affirmed the beauty of Black women. Not only did Lincoln detail the psychological degradation of Black women, Lincoln also addressed the objectification of Black women's bodies. Through describing the physical violence and the enforcement of subservient jobs and domestic roles, Lincoln denounced the oppression of Black women. Furthermore, she contributed to the voices opposing scientific racism and malpractice, in which white scientists deemed Black women's bodies as worthless and expendable. Finally, Lincoln adamantly vocalized her dismay at the rampant rape and abuse of Black women. She described the experience of sexual harassment, quote, we are the women lusted after, sneered at, leered at, hissed at, end quote. By vividly describing the very assault that is ignored and silenced, Lincoln rejected the marginalization of Black women and their bodies. In the final line of the essay, Lincoln posed the powerful question, quote, to whom will she cry rape, quote, end quote. Lincoln's essay, Who Will Revere the Black Women, illustrated the oppression that was distinct to Black women and powerfully demanded attention to their concerns and demanded an end to the suppression of Black women. Lincoln's writing still rings true today. African American women's bodies are hypersexualized for profit and exploitation while simultaneously deemed less valuable and pressured to conform to white beauty standards. The entertainment sector continues to overlook and undermine the achievements of Black women while often perpetuating negative stereotypes of Black women through portraying them as subservient or uneducated. The sexual assault of Black women and the effect of dual oppression is often ignored, whereas white women's concerns regarding assault are prioritized. In 1966, Abby Lincoln questioned and addressed the aforementioned oppressions that Black women endured 50 years ago and which many Black women still experience into the present. Thank you.
You all will likely recognize this iconic image of Bree Newsome on the top right corner, when she removed a Confederate flag at a South Carolina state house. Though long before Newsome identified as an activist, she was a filmmaker and musician. Newsome was born in Charlotte, North Carolina in 1984 and grew up in Maryland. At a young age, she developed a passion for the arts. During high school, Newsome received numerous awards for her work in music and film. Notably, at the age of 14, her 6-part choral piece titled Revelation 21:4 won the Paderewski Medal from the National Piano Guild and the Maryland Distinguished Scholars Competition. And during her senior year, her first short film, The Three Princes of Idea, won her a college scholarship from the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. After high school, she attended the Tisch School at New York University. Her senior short film, Wake, won a number of accolades and was a finalist for the prestigious Wasserman Award, whose past recipients include Spike Lee. Newsome's experience as a Black woman laid the groundwork for her activism. After graduating, Newsome became increasingly involved in politics. She marched in the Occupy Wall Street protests of 2011, and in 2012, she rose to national attention for her satirical music video mocking Mitt Romney titled Shake It Like an Etch-a-Sketch. In 2013, Newsome participated in a sit-in at the North Carolina State Capitol, where she spoke out against state legislation designed to disenfranchise Black voters. Her activism led to the legislation being overturned by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. In 2014, in the wake of the uprising in Ferguson, she co-founded The Tribe, a grassroots organization based in Charlotte, North Carolina, which aims to address structural racism and police brutality. On June 27, 2015, alongside a team of activists who rejected the notion that white supremacy was supreme and untouchable, Newsome scaled a 30-foot pole at the South Carolina State House and removed the Confederate flag. In doing so, she created a new consciousness of the inherent power of direct action. Furthermore, she aimed to demonstrate how an individual can foster change in the fight against injustice, inequality, and hatred. This iconic picture of Newsome on the pole with the Confederate flag in hand has become a symbol and a touchstone of empowerment for disenfranchised people around the world. In 2016, she received the prestigious NAACP Image Award and has been named to the Root 100 and Ebony 100 in recognition of her unrelenting work for equity and civil rights. Currently, Newsome remains a strong voice in the fight for intersectional equality. She has written articles, given interviews and speeches regarding affirmative action, the Charlottesville rallies, and more. Her courage and determination and unwavering voice in the name of equality continues to inspire activists around the world. And then here's a short video of her.
I know, sir. I'm prepared.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to be talking about Nikki Giovanni. Nikki Giovanni is one of the best-known African-American poets, and she became extremely popular during the late 1960s. Her unique and insightful poetry testifies to her own evolving awareness and experiences, from child to young woman, from naive college freshman to seasoned civil rights activist, from daughter to mother. Giovanni's poetry expresses strong racial pride and respect for her family. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, Giovanni's popularity as a speaker and lecturer increased along with her success as a poet and children's author. She received numerous awards for work, including honors from the National Council of Negro Women and the National Association of Radio and Television Announcers. She was featured in articles for such magazines as Ebony, Jet, and Harper's Bazaar. The poem I'm going to read, titled Ego Tripping, was published by Giovanni in 1973. The title Ego Tripping suggests many things: an actual ego trip or celebration of pride, tripping as in acting crazy or having your mind blown, and an ego so large that the author is tripping over it. Nikki Giovanni's first trip to Africa was in 1972, the year of the publication of this poem, or year beforehand. Many of the great ancient African civilizations, the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, etc., contributed to the later glories of Greek, Roman, and Norman life. And in these civilizations, much of modern life finds its origins. Giovanni aligns herself with these beginnings and the possibilities they offer in ego tripping, as she celebrates being Black and female. Okay. Ego tripping. I was born in the Congo. I walked to the Fertile Crescent and built the Sphinx. I designed a pyramid so tough that a star that only glows every 100 years falls into the center, giving divine perfect light. I am bad. I sat on the throne drinking nectar with Allah. I got hot and sent an ice age to Europe to cool my thirst. My oldest daughter is Nefertiti. The tears from my birth pains created the Nile. I am a beautiful woman. I gazed on the forest and burned out the Sahara Desert with a pack of goat's meat and a change of clothes. I crossed it in 2 hours. I am a gazelle so swift you can't catch me. For a birthday present when he was 3, I gave my son Hannibal an elephant. He gave me Rome for Mother's Day. My strength flows ever on. My son Noah built Ark, and I stood proudly at the helm as we sailed on a soft summer day. I turned myself into myself and was Jesus. Men intone my loving name, all praises, all praises. I'm the one who would save. I sewed diamonds in my backyard, my bowels delivered uranium. The filings from my fingernails are semi-precious jewels. On a trip north, I caught a cold and blew my nose, giving oil to the Arab world. I'm so hip, even my errors are correct. I sailed west to reach east and had to round off the earth as I went. The hair from my head thinned and gold was laid across 3 continents. I am so perfect, so divine, so ethereal, so surreal. I cannot be comprehended, except by my permission. I can fly like a bird in the sky. Thank you.